Today, we're going to be talking about the one thing that actually gets you to write your book. And it's probably not what you think. So, what I'm talking about is your decision. The moment you decide, everything changes. Things start rearranging behind the scenes. It's the catalyst, the key for you to actually write your book and claim your identity as an author. I don't mean saying something like, I'll write the book someday. I mean really claiming it with all of your body and mind. Claiming I am an author, I am a writer, I have a completed book. That's when the momentum begins. That's when you're more likely to take action. Before I wrote my book, I spent a lot of time writing down ideas, and then I would skip to a different idea, and then I would start the book, write a couple chapters, and then I would come up with what I thought was a better idea. So that was really a great way to not make any real progress. A lot of times we believe that if we make the decision to do something, we're walking away from other options. But by not making the decision, what we're really doing is just not committing. We're leaving a lot of loose ends and staying stuck in a waiting game. Every time you say, I'll write if I have time, or I'll write if I feel motivated, you're basically reinforcing that your book comes after everything else. But when you decide, you stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for motivation and you begin acting as if that story really matters. And that one shift has a way of changing not just your writing, but also the ways that you show up in other areas of your life as well. So, how did I realize that decision making was the key? My master's degree and experience has been in communication, organizational behavior, and leadership development. And for years, I've been helping build and evaluate systems that enhance people's success in the workplace. I've researched the psychology of decision making and the role that it plays in people moving up in an organization or changing to a role that they're more aligned with or being more productive. Yet, once I started seeing examples of this in my own life, I realized that I should intentionally apply this theory in my author journey. And so I wrote the book while working a full time job. And I'm going to share one of my favorite personal examples that illustrates how this works and how you can apply it to even any area of your life. I was working a corporate in office job where I had to sit in a sea of cubicles, which was very distracting. I worked from home 2 days a week, but I wanted a fully remote job. Plus, there had been some changes in leadership, so I didn't really like working there. I applied for an interview for fully remote jobs, some with even lower pay. But since I really did not like where I was at, I didn't like the job I was at, and I had this sort of energy of wanting to escape, I was probably coming across with somewhat of a desperate energy while I was searching. So not only did I not get a job, that company ended up being sold to another company, and my team ended up being cut. So I ended up being unemployed. So after taking a little bit of time off, I started job hunting again, and I was looking at all sorts of jobs that were even fully in office or that were hybrid, meaning partially remote, and my heart just wasn't in it. So I decided that I would set the standard that I would only accept a fully remote job with higher pay. It wasn't really a logical decision. I mean, I couldn't even get that type of job when I actually had a full time job. Now I was unemployed. But I didn't have the desperate energy. I was happy and relaxed, and I went at the search as if I already had the job, and it became my standard. So, just like you have standards for other areas of your life, for example, you may work out a certain number of times a week, you don't smoke, or you show up at work on time, or you may not let people talk to you a certain way. Those are all standards. Well, I made having a remote job with higher pay just like those other standards. It was non negotiable. During that job search, I stopped even seeing other jobs. They wouldn't even register in my brain. Even if it was 80% of the time remote, it just wasn't for me. I wanted fully remote with higher pay, and I eventually ended up getting it. Not only that, but it was the easiest interview process I had ever been through. Then I realized that making the decision was also the key to writing the book. Because once you do that, once you see yourself as the person with a completed manuscript, you'll start looking at time differently. You'll start scheduling your days differently. You may commit to a certain number of words per day. You may commit to taking certain classes or a certain number of chapters per month. And no matter what that looks like for you, you stick to it. You do it regardless of if you think anyone's even ever going to read the book, regardless of what people are saying to you, regardless of how confident you feel. No matter what, you are going to finish that book. And once you put your decision out into the universe and act like you've already done it and that you already are the writer, it shows your subconscious that this is something that you could do because you're already doing it. And when you start taking action from that committed, aligned place, you show your subconscious more evidence that you're going to do it. And therefore, you continue taking action. So think about a time in the past when you decided and stuck to that decision and had a successful outcome. What did you do when you made that decision? This will look different for each person. You may have written it down or told other people about it or kept it to yourself. Now, once you have come up with that example, step into that energy and decide that you are going to write the book, that you are the author. You might think this isn't really logical. I've only written 5 words so far. Well, it wasn't logical for me to think that I could get a fully remote job with higher pay when I didn't even have a job, when I couldn't even do that when I actually had a job. But I decided that I wasn't going to settle for anything less. Now, obviously, we need to have a foot in reality here. I mean, I did have the skills and experience, but for most of you who are watching this, being an author is a part of your dreams. You do have skills and experience. It has been something you want to do, but keep putting off for some reason. And so, making that decision is what you need to do to jumpstart that dream. Stop negotiating with yourself and make the decision.